By 2050, the number of people aged 60 and older will more than double, reaching over 2 billion. So, what does an aging population mean for your customer base, your workforce, and your bottom line?
You know, the way I look at it as a business leader and customer experience expert, I would probably structure it in three buckets. You will have the business side of things, obviously, the individual side. So, what should we change personally? But also the policymakers and global decision makers. This all is going to be affected in some way. So, our workforce is getting older. What are the implications for your business? Do you need to bring in some more flexibility, some upskilling, think about retention in a different way? Your customers potentially are getting older as well. The silver economy and the opportunities that it brings in health, wellness, but also in adjacent industries like finance, where people need to start thinking, okay, now I'm getting to live not to 60, 70, but maybe to 80, 90 or beyond, and being sick in my 90s is going to be very different compared to being sick in the 60s in terms of fragility, the amount of money that will be required and funds and support that I will need. So it means that we need to move from sick care to prevention, from retirement to reinvention. And we need to think about this as an opportunity and a driver for innovation rather than a pure cost. So it's not just a demographic trend, it's a strategic business issue.
What will happen if we don't do anything?
It's actually quite a scary prospect for me. And this is something that got me into this topic in the first place. The healthcare systems will be overwhelmed. They are already now. It's only going to get worse. Our workforce is going to shrink. Again, think Japan, where in 1960s, the number of working people was a dozen people for every one retired. And now it's only two people to each retired and going to one. So the amount of value and the amount of productivity that each of us will need to bring is exploding. So we can't continue in the same way. We need to change the systems. We need to adjust our business, but also our individual behavior. Because if we don't do it now, if we don't invest in this whole prevention topic, later it's going to be too late.
Even though we have examples across the world, Japan, South Korea, of aging populations, do you think that we really grasp the implications? And by that, I mean us as individuals, but also businesses and governments.
I believe we are on our way to start addressing this massive opportunity, and this, depending on the calculations, about 15 trillion US dollars, unimaginable amount, longevity economy that no one wants to obviously leave untapped. At the same time, the question you're asking is about our awareness. So are we fully aware of what's going on the individual level as businesses and as policymakers? The answer to that can be that companies can help consumers almost becoming the CEO of their own health and longevity. So taking on this responsibility and enabling people to drive that. And this can be a major shift that we can start there.
So you're almost suggesting, I imagine, when we talk about this subject, we will be thinking that this is really only on governments to try and deal with this problem. But what you're saying is actually businesses can lead the way here. How do you start to go about doing that?
Many business leaders are familiar with personas and behavioral archetypes. So imagine two dimensions. On the one hand, you have the awareness, and on the other hand, behavioral change. So this will be the two key major dimensions for us to look at. And this is relevant, interestingly, for businesses as well as for individuals. And it means the very first step that we need to take is figure out what does it mean even to be aware? Where do we stand today? What's our baseline? And then what does it mean for our future? How can we change our behavior? Which leads us then to the next customer experience tool that businesses can bring, something along the lines of customer journey. Think longevity journey, prevention journey. Think about different moments of truth. So life events that make people think about prevention, about healthcare, about the future.